going to go ahead and get started. My name is Marsha Hampton. I'm the city manager for the city of Douglasville. This is the second community town hall meeting presented by Mayor Robinson. Mayor Robinson will come up to do her opening comments, and then followed by Mayor Robinson, I will do a series of staff reports. I know on Tuesday night, for those who were with us, there were several staff members. I could not be here because for our family obligation, so I told them that they could have the night off, so I would take on their presentation. So with that, I will turn it over to the mayor, and then I will come back up to do a presentation, and if you will hold your question and answers until afterwards, we'll have that time for you to do so.
Good evening. Thank you all. It's good to see citizens that are engaged and want to come out and hear information. I know that everyone can't make it to city council meetings, and so we try to bring the information to you. So I appreciate your time. I want to thank the city manager for the introduction and thank her for her hard work and how she really helps the elected officials to cast the vision and set legislative initiatives that are supportive to the staff and the employees and people in the community, the citizens. I want to recognize the elected officials in the House. This is the council members, Councilmember Mark Adams and Councilmember Mike Miller's wards. This is Ward number 2. If you would please stand, Councilmember Adams, Mark Adams back there. Thank you so much for your time and his beautiful wife. We appreciate you all coming. Again, my opening comments are this: we are excited. I'm here to serve the people. I am a public servant. I know I'm an elected official and all of that, but I'm a public servant. And we would like to make sure that we distribute your tax dollars efficiently and with lots of thought, and that's purposeful and that makes a difference. We are inclusive. Everyone is in this city, and we're going to work together. We're going to rise or fall together, and we're going to rise. So it's a new time. We're setting lots of plans, and staff will come forward. As the city manager said, we had several folks present on Tuesday, and we'll have that same presentation tonight. She'll do most of the presenting, and we would ask that you hold your questions until the end. I'm certain that you'll have some, and maybe through the presentations they will have gotten answered. Now, there's some literature on the table. Don't leave without taking some of this literature. One is important numbers in the city. It has alcohol license, animal control, different departments, things in the county that we all need, voter registration. Court systems may not need that, but just in case, all of those numbers are here. And on the back of that flyer was Councilman Siegel. I apologize. Hi, Councilman Siegel. Wave, please. And Watts. Okay, my council members. Could you all please, can you come to the front of the class, please? Come to the front of the class. I don't want to miss you, and just in case they have a question, they'll be able to ask you. I apologize. I didn't recognize Councilmember Chris Watts. Come on up, Councilman Watts. That's the coach, recently retired from the school system. How many years? 30? 37, praise God, 37 years in the school system. And he represents Ward 4, it's over by Presley Mill, not very far from downtown. And Councilmember Richard Siegel, who represents the Tributary, a lot of development happening, Tributary, Riverside Parkway, Thornton Road. And Councilman Mark Adams, who is a local businessman and has been here 4 generations, your family, Councilman Adams? 4 generations. And he lives in the heart of the city, in the downtown area. And of course he brings so much institutional knowledge. He knows where all the bodies are buried. I mean, that's just a term, not really. But we appreciate your long-standing history. Oh, okay. We appreciate your long-standing history and that you bring cohesion to the council. For some of us who've only been here 21 years, for me, I'm still considered new. It's great to have someone like Councilman Adams that's been here for many, many years, and Councilman Watts. And Councilman Siegel, he and I are transplants, I guess so. But that's what a community is about. If you're not growing and inviting new people in and new ideas, you're dying on the vine. Isn't that right, Mr. Nation? So we're happy to have the council members here. And if you have any questions after, we'll invite you to ask them. But we will talk about transportation projects, finance, downtown and special events, community economic involvement opportunities, public safety, and beautification. And please hold your questions until the end. Put a pen or make yourself a mental note, and we'll have an opportunity to talk about those things. Oh, I was going to say, so on the table, we have that flyer that I talked about, the wards, and each person that represents those wards is on the back of that paper, and you see their handsome faces and beautiful face for Dr. LaShawn Berdanley, and the state of the city, which was done in February, and it gives you a delineation of all of the numbers and figures that we'll talk about tonight. In addition to that, the annual report, the 2017 report. On the front, we have lots of various opportunities for you to see what was going on, the Food Truck Mondays and Christmas, and the Beacon Awards for downtown businesses, the Google Awards that we host every year, parades, and we have children come in from all the schools in the city, and they're introduced to first responders, and so that's the firefighters that you see on the front. So those are some. Please take those things with you, and if you need information, it's readily at your fingertips with these leaflets that we have. Thank you so much to City Communications Department for providing the information for me. Okay, city manager, you're gonna come and do some reports, and then my city manager has been with us since 2003, correct? And when I was on city council, she came in, we had a series of interviews, and she was part of the last 3 that we were choosing, and so former councilman, but now he's the commissioner, Henry Mitchell and I were sitting there, we're like, we have to get her to be our Main Street manager. And she has worked her way up from being Main Street manager to being the top employee in the city, appointed employee. And she does a fabulous job. I tell people she walks on water. That's just a term, but Miss Marcia Hampton, we appreciate everything that you do for us in keeping us together. So please welcome her as she starts our reports. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you to everyone who's here, and definitely thank you to the elected officials. I won't say I walk on water. I'll just say that I'm granted a lot of forgiveness. So, which, you know, sometimes as city employees that has to happen, but that's okay. So we do try our best. I'm told that this is the clicker. So, Ms. Kelly, if I do this incorrectly, I apologize. But I will try to go through these slides fairly quickly. I do want to give an opportunity for everyone in the audience to be able to ask as many questions as they would like. So if there's something on the slide that you say, hey, I want you to go back to, please let us know. And you'll see references to employees who are working in these specific areas, and you'll see contact information, and we'll be happy to send this presentation out. I think Ms. Kelly will have this on the website as well, so you'll be able to receive that contact information for those employees. Transportation is big for us, for those who are city residents and for those who voted for this current SPLOST. I want to say thank you. You all afforded us the opportunity to do some well-awaited transportation projects. This slide includes things that are part of a grant as well, but some of those fundings that are part of a grant have to be matched with additional funding. And because we do have the SPLOST this year and for the next 6 years, we're able to complete those projects and probably add a little bit to it. Sometimes it's great to get federal projects, but it can be an interesting challenge. So I can tell you, it's never come into the original budget. So it's just, I don't think any city has had that happen. Some of the projects that we specifically have going on that have federal funding tied to it would be the State Route 92 project, our O'Neill Plaza for those who've been downtown. You will see that we are reconstructing the plaza. I think it's probably the 3rd time we've done that since I've been here at the city, to be honest. This plaza project, I think, is geared more toward a festival-friendly area, and before the last time we did it, we were geared toward a more concert goal-oriented plaza area. So I guess in the 4th time that we do it, we'll gear it towards something different. Welcome Center, for those who are familiar with that building, at one point there were 2 separate offices that were in that building. Actually, when I first got hired with the city, I shared an office with 2 people. I had a little corner window. I could look out on the plaza and watch people throw coins in the fountain. Myself and Jennifer Johnson, those who know who run the conference center, she and I shared an office for years. We're renovating that Welcome Center because some of you may or may not know that that Welcome Center actually has a state designation as a regional Welcome Center. And there are certain things that have to go along with the regional designation for a Welcome Center because it's listed on the state website as a place for those who are visiting our state to be able to come to. And right now, the building just does not lend itself to that. So that's a part of that grant project. Lighting and banners phase 2. For those who live, are familiar with the Campbellton Street area, that's one phase of that project. Now we're going on the north end of town. That's the second phase of that project, which will include sidewalks, lights, and banners. And then we have the Riverside Bridge Rehabilitation Project. All of these are tied in some way, somehow, with federal funding, and which will require a match from the city of Douglasville. The State Route 92 project is 3.10 miles, 3 phases. This is one of the projects I worked on as a part of the environmental process. This project dates back 30+ years. When I became involved in the project, the city was told that you can either try one more time to get through the environmental process to see if you can receive federal funding for this project and for it to be turned over to the state, or you can just lose it and give up forever, and we're going to move on. So we were able to do that and go through the Federal Highway Administration process for environmental certification, and we were able to do that in about 6 months. So now this is actually a state route project, but we work closely with the state, with GDOT, to make certain that this project does come to fruition because it has been a long time coming, and it will provide the much needed connectivity from the north end of Douglasville to those folks who are coming from Paulding County who live on the north side to the south end of town and vice versa. Of course, we will be moving the railroad tracks. There was question about whether you're going over or under. We will be tunneling under the railroad. There's some negotiation that had to happen between GDOT and Norfolk Southern, and that has happened. And you should see some paving now behind CVS. Originally, the project, you were going to be able to drive on a portion of the road before the road opened, but that no longer will be the case. The project is slated to be complete in 2019, but I can tell you with transportation projects, don't bet any money on that date. We will be installing some lighting, signals, and poles all along the route, and there will be wider sidewalks and a walking trail along the route as well. So very similar to places like you see Barrett Parkway that extends from Kennesaw into Austell. If you look along Barrett Parkway, there are large walking trails along that road. The new plaza, of course, is a $1 million+ project, which includes the renovation of the Welcome Center. And if you wonder why that's transportation, because the state designates a Welcome Center as a place where those who transit go in the vehicles that they stop. So that's why the Welcome Centers are considered eligible for that type of funding. There were some drainage issues on the plaza when we did the last renovation, which was part of an LCI, Livable Centers Initiative project. The alleyway that is behind Gumbo's, the water would run down the alleyway into some of the businesses, including the Irish Bread Pub and the former Dr. Robinson's building. So this plaza renovation should fix that drainage problem. You do see a new fountain. The old fountain is no longer there. The new fountain is there. There will be, again, a more festival-friendly plaza where you can have tents put up and along each side, and you can walk through. So we should be ready, I'm told by staff, for a chili cook-off. So we definitely invite everyone to come to chili cook-off. The Welcome Center, again, preserving the historic integrity of that building, having a new roof, handicap restrooms. There are no handicap restrooms in that building. Where we actually had our break room was where the old safe was located. There was a small refrigerator in there. I think it was still in there when we went in there the other day, Greg. We would have a small kitchen, new flooring, and paint and furniture. And the goal for that building is to have access from the public off of the plaza and move all of the offices on the Broad Street side. So for those who've been in that building, you know you enter in from the front or from the back. At one point, I think we had about 6 employees who sat in that back office. Years ago, Deny Signs used to be in that building. I think, Sky Design, I think, was in that building before the city purchased it, but now it's actually owned by our Convention and Visitors Bureau. But we will fix all of those issues. Again, lighting and banners, the west side of Dallas Highway, creating that walkability, sidewalk, pedestrian lighting and banners. So again, it will be a long stretch of road, so very similar, if you can keep in mind, to something like a Barrett Parkway close in Cobb County. The Riverside Parkway Bridge rehabilitation, there are some deficiencies in that bridge. It rated very low. Even though Riverside Parkway through the service delivery agreement is a county road to maintain, this was a project that we started before that process, so we are going to repair and fix all of those deficiencies. If you have questions, you can contact me, but the person who will know the most information will be Michelle Wright, so I would highly recommend that you contact her. Finance, I don't pretend to be a finance director, but finance director and I are joined by the hip. We try to make certain one of our goals, and specifically mine with the elected officials, is to operate in a very transparent manner. We try to be very conservative from our viewpoint as to how we spend our funds. One of the things that I'm very cognitive of is the city for a long time hasn't had a lot of funding to put toward capital improvement. And the way that I view things is, as a taxpayer, when you put money, you want your taxpayers to go back into the community, and that's your capital improvements, that's your streets, that's your roads. Those are the things that improve the quality of life. This is your millage rate history. Back in 2012, you can see where the millage rate was where the millage rate stood. The bond millage is the millage that was voted on by the citizens to cover the debt service payment on the public safety building over off of Fairburn Road. And then the column that says, if you're looking at 2012, 5.4 is what is your total millage when you add those two numbers together. Just recently in August, the mayor and council voted not to roll back the millage rate. You will see on the next slide why we're recommending that. The millage is a direct reflection of the rate in which you receive your taxes. So we are recommending as a staff that we try to get ourselves back in a position financially where we were pre-recession, knowing that the economy is growing, but it's growing at a very slow rate. And the reason we say that is because even during the recession, the city of Douglasville did not lose any services. We actually added services. So just very similar to your household, if you add things, if you add HBO and you had basic cable before, you got to figure out how you're going to pay for HBO. So here's where we were back in 2003, where our digest was. Of course, it grew. You can see where the economy was in 2006, 2007. This is your historical digest. And in 2017, we're not quite where we were back in 2008 and 2009. If we can get there, all things remaining equal, I can say standing here, our recommendation to the elected officials would be to hold back. That's a very comfortable place for us. It's a comfortable place in a sense that it allows us to maintain operations, but also allows us to do those capital investments if or if not, that we had a SPLOST. The SPLOST helps, but one of the things that we don't want to do is be solely dependent upon a SPLOST. The Douglas County, City of Douglasville, Douglas County has had a history of a failed SPLOST, so we never want to be totally reliant upon that. We want our capital improvement and capital investments to come out of the monies that you as a taxpayer provide to us. This is the 5-year history. This is what we have to advertise, so if you actually saw this in the paper, this is what you were looking at. It has all of the information, which includes real and personal property taxes, and it has all of the numbers. And if you want further detail on that, Councilman Siegel studies it on a regular basis, and he would know far more than I would know, so I'm not even going to pretend to go into detail, but that's why we have a great finance director. Here are our general fund revenues. Then this, again, is for this current fiscal year. That big pie, as you see, are taxes. There are many other local governments. That pie would be maybe not necessarily the same, but they receive other incomes from certain places, such as utilities. We at the City of Douglasville don't have utilities, but there are other local governments who have their own electricity, water, sewer. We don't have those things. So when the tax number gets smaller, the availability for funding and to do certain things also gets very smaller. If you want a breakdown of what's in that 77%, 39% of those are property taxes, 31% of those are sales taxes, 12% are franchise taxes, and then the remaining 18% is insurance premium tax, excise and alcohol tax, and hotel motel tax. Our general fund expenses. So public safety, which every community, this is going to be very similar. We're no different. All communities want their communities to be safe. And as with public safety, the chief will tell you that public safety doesn't come cheap, and not when you do it well. So in order for us to be able to provide a safe community, you will see that that number sits at 37%, just general government. That would include administration, where I am, and those things associated with operations. And then, of course, you have public works, culture and recreation, housing and development, and judicial is a small part of that as well. So again, between general government, as we say, City Hall, and public safety, that makes up the bulk of where the citizens spend their money. And Greg, is that you, or you want me to keep rolling? It's up to you. No, it's up to you. I don't want to steal your thunder. Okay. You don't have to say that. SPLOST projects for 2017 and 2018. Here's pretty much a breakdown of where we're going to be spending those funds. So resurfacing, there are a lot of roads in Douglasville, Douglas County that have not been resurfaced. Both Douglasville and Douglas County, bulk of their money is being spent in the area of transportation for specifically resurfacing. In the city, we're not building any new roads, so we're just cleaning up the ones that we have. Parks and recreation, you'll see that we actually just did the West Pines Greens conversion, so we just opened back up last weekend. I think we had a record weekend as it relates to interest in the golf course and revenues that were made. We renovated the clubhouse. We also have the pavilion that's out at this park and some playground improvements. You can see all of the things that we're looking at for public safety. Again, as I said, public safety does not come cheap. Just the police radios, well, the radio tower itself is over $2 million. So that's where a portion of that funding is coming from. And then facilities, maintenance and sanitation is a big piece of those funds. Sanitation, the sanitation fund is actually an enterprise fund, so that cost will be split between SPLOST and the enterprise fund. So the cost, the monies that you spend for your trash services, all of those go toward building a new facility. If you haven't been to Greg's shop, I would encourage you to go. I would encourage you to go because it will open your eyes as to why we need a new facility. Downtown special events. We have a Main Street program. As the mayor said, my career here at the city started as the Main Street manager. The Main Street program is a national program. It's a program that's based on a philosophy, and how you manage your downtown is based on 4 points. We have had a very successful program. We have two ladies who work in that division, April McCown, who's the Main Street manager, and Patrice Williams, who's our community development manager. That's their vision. It's a whole lot of words: small town, historic, thriving, celebrate unique history and charm. So all the things that we want to do downtown. Sorry if I'm going too fast. Events, as you can see, this is a whole picture of all the things that we do downtown. I would say, if I had to describe what we do, we've definitely grown from my days of being downtown Main Street manager. I remember the Old Town garage sale. Now we've merged that into yard sale amnesty week, and now that you don't have to get a yard sale permit, I guess it's just yard sale weekend. Events, here are some of the events that we do. We've gotten a lot more sophisticated. Yoga on the Plaza. So if some of you participated in that, it's actually very popular. Ice Cream Social, which is also a popular event. And coming up fairly soon, Christmas parade and Christmas tree lighting. And we were talking this week about putting up the Christmas tree. Here are many of the projects that are going on downtown. We have downtown incentives. We've always had downtown incentives, which are sponsored and programmed by the Downtown Development Authority. Beautification projects such as planners on the street, you'll see those. You'll see the Downtown Development Authority and many of those volunteers on a routine basis who are coming out and who are filling those planners. Right now, the ones that we had on the plaza itself have been moved, but you will see the mayor actually has a cleanup day coming up on the 30th, where we will be rejuvenating the back alley behind Gumbo's and filling those planners and opening up to the plaza, so to make certain that our core has been beautified. One big project that we're working on, not to exclude any others, we're right in the midst of a downtown master plan. It's been a while since we've done that. The downtown master plan sets the goals and the visions and projects for the downtown area for the next 10 years. So that's a very important thing for not only the city, but the downtown area as well. Impact report, those are the number of jobs, and that's just in the downtown core. So when you think of downtown, you're thinking, you're looking at for commercial from Hudson's all the way down to the Chevron station on Fairburn Road. You're looking at Strickland Street to right to the residential neighborhood. So when you look at 27 jobs in 18 months, when you think about the number of businesses, that's very significant. The number of promotional events that we've had, the number of attendees in that area, completed rehab projects, and the number of new businesses opening and expanding. So just in that 18 months, we've had $1.8 million worth of investments in downtown, and those are numbers that we have to report to the state of Georgia as a part of the Main Street program. Community involvement opportunities, we're always looking for great volunteers. I'm happy to say as of to date, all of our boards and commissions are filled. So we haven't had that, we were at a point, at one point, where that was not the case. So that means that citizens are engaged. Being in public service and public in this realm, you have to do this with you as the citizens. This is not a job that we can do in a silo on our own. So it's very important that people are serving in those roles. But at any given time, if you're interested in any of those boards, and even today, if you're interested, please go to our website, submit an information letter, and it goes to Chelsea Jackson, who's our operations manager, and we'll keep your name in a database, or anyone that you would know. So we do have vacancies that come about throughout the year, and we'll make certain to contact you so you can be interviewed by the mayor and council and potentially serve on one of those boards. And many of our board members who've served in the past have gone on to be elected officials. Douglasville, that's our Citizens Academy. Many communities have a Citizens Academy. Last year was the first year that we did the Citizens Academy. It was very successful. This is an opportunity for citizens in Douglasville to get one-on-one, hands-on, in-depth information about our city operations. This is all about us being transparent, showing you what we do every day. There's a staff person that comes in that demonstrates a portion of city operations, allows you to be with us for a certain period of time. As you see, a 10-week program. We start in April. I should say January through April. Applications will come out soon. We always ask the elected officials to submit names. We think it's very important. They are your contact person as the citizen base contacts your council representatives, so we want to make certain they're involved in submitting names for people who would like to serve on those programs. And I'm not going to pretend to do public safety because there are too many law enforcement officers in here. So with that, Chief, you ready? What? All right, the mission statement of the police department. See my awesome staff? Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Come on, Chief, come with me. So, Chief knows better than that. No one can do it like the Chief. He knows I'm not going to do this without him.
This is our Chief. He's been the Chief. He's been the Chief for how long, 2 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and he's been in law enforcement for about 30 years. He's worked his way up. He is a local person that we're excited to have in the community. You want to talk to the microphone? See, I like to do introductions so you know who you're looking at. So the Chief is from Winston originally. Great family, the Sparks family. And he is one of our success stories, a young man that grew up in this community, attended school here, went to Fort Valley State University in the military, and came back and has really been an asset to the community. We're so excited, all the initiatives. His love and his passion is for the youth. He has a 10-year program that has been going for 10 years, Youth Against Violence, won international awards. He'll talk about the Chiefs Association where he won an award last year. He probably won't say it, but I'm just saying it because it's very commendable and awesome for him to have received that award. And he works with the district attorney, sharing program. I don't know if you mentioned that on Tuesday. We're the western part of Georgia. So different agencies come in, FBI, agencies from all over, and they share information for gang-related activities, drones, all kinds of stuff. So, Chief, you can just take it away, but proud to have the Chief of Police, Mr. Gary Sparks. Thank you so much for your time, Chief.
Okay, Ms. Marshall, City Manager.
I'm going to click for you.
You see our mission statement. Our mission is to serve and protect the community. That's what we do. That's our calling. All the 97 men and women that we have there, this is what we preach to them. The city council was gracious enough to give us 4 more, so we a total capacity of 101. We're trying to get to the 101 so we could do some proactive things, but we believe in doing unto others you have them to do unto you. You treat the public like you want your family treated. So as you can read our mission statement. Now here's our calls for service. We put this out. A lot of police departments don't put this out, but we're a transparent agency, and we decided last year we did a end of the year report. So basically now we're doing quarterly reports. So, and then at the end of the year we'll go back over everything. I know a lot of times people want to see our use of force. That's a big thing that's going, you know, around the country. In the media, we only had 9 South Hand and 2 others. So the South Hand is, this is how we report. If I tell you you're under arrest, and if I have to put hands on you and you just pull away just a little bit and our officer just tug on you just slightly, we do a report. Now most officers wouldn't, I mean most departments wouldn't count that as a use of force. But if we have to deviate from just putting you in the car, we count it. But you'll see, we only had 9 South Hand and 2 others. So tasers, so far we didn't have any of this quarter hard hands, we didn't have any. So we sent our officers to what we call verbal judo. And the thing of it is just talk to people. We try to keep our officers in the zone longer because we feel that I feel that if you know someone, you're less likely to hurt them. So we try to keep our officers in the zone for 6 months at a time so they can see what's going on in the zone, and then they can know the people in the zone. Right, so community events and citations, hiring, we constant hiring, and we trying to get our police department where it reflects the community. I think we are about 23% or better with minorities hiring. The national average, I think, is like 18% or something like that, 12%. So you see, we're moving forward. We have about 9 officers in the academy at this time, and so we're moving forward. Now, code enforcement, everybody call on code enforcement. Now, our men and women doing an excellent job. You know, I just say to Jimmy right there, you know, everybody want to call about high grass signs and this or that. You know, look, you can't be everywhere all the time. If you ride out of here now, you're going to see something, and I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, what you're going to call and complain about, he already seen it. He already working on it. Give us time. You know, some people, I mean, it's just a big stickler on them. But, you know, we crime fighters. That's what we do. Now we'll take care of the code things as well, but y'all work with us. That's, you know, our thing is to get people up to code instead of just writing them tickets. Bringing them up to standards, that's what code enforcement is about. Or you want us to just write you tickets. No, we work with you. And I think that's what the council wants us to do, and sometimes we don't get it that way, but anyway. I better move on, yeah. You better get me moving on. I'll get in some trouble around here. But look at that, you know, they did 1,600 reports. They wrote 177 citations. But that's what code all about, getting you to work with the businesses and the people in the community to come up to code. So we'll move on. CrimeReport.com. If you living in the area of the city of Douglasville, go to crimereports.com. You can see what type of criminal activity is occurring in your area. That way you could better protect yourself and your family from the crime trends that's happening in your area. Just put your address in and go to that website. We bought that website years ago. And you know, my thing is, if you're not part of trying to help in stopping crime, and then you're part of the problem. So we got to work together as one. That's our motto at Douglasville Police Department, and we are one. We stole that, you know, you have to take a little something. We stole that from Frankie Beverly and Mays. You know, some of y'all may not know what that, but you know what I'm talking about. We're one. You like that? Yeah, I did too, though. I got it. You know, the DCOP program is, you know, like tonight, the mayor's having this this town hall meeting. We have 4 town hall meetings a year at the police department to try to educate the community to the criminal activity that's going on out here so you can be better prepared. And I look at that as a way of, we get our citizens prepared and we train our citizens to what the crime problem that's going on, then it will help us decrease crime. It'll help us fight crime better because every one of you have a stake in crime fighting. We can't be everywhere all the time, but if we got eyes and ears and you know how to hit 911 and you seen a car or what was going on, and then tell us what happened, because oftentimes we may go somewhere and be like, what happened? I don't know. I didn't see nothing. Whoa, you right out here. I got you on video, so I didn't see anything. Well, that's part of the problem. So we got to engage our community and say, look here, we're not going to have this type of activity, whether it's gangs, selling drugs, whatever the case may be, flim-flams, or entering autos. That's what we have now, entering autos. So if you get up at night, going to get some water or whatever your favorite beverage is, look out the window, because it may be somebody going around just pulling on your car door handle just to see if you locked your car. And a lot of people feel safe when they get home. So they leave their gun, they leave the telephone or computer in the car, and these thieves come out and they just it's like rolling dice. I just go to this subdivision and see how many doors I pull on. And guess what? People just don't lock their stuff up. So, we got to help in that area. We did a PSA on that. So this is all part of the DCOP program going out. Matter of fact, I talked to a guy today, and I'm going to sit down. I spoke with a gentleman today, and he was trying to he was an officer. He moved here from Florida looking for a police job, and he was going to work for the city of Atlanta. We were doing the DCOP program over here off Rocky Ridge, and we happened to go and knock on his door, and his wife said, the police knocking on the door. Like, the police? What the police want? They opened the door and like, hey, my name is Gary Sparks, I'm the police chief, and how you doing? We're just going around educating the community what's going on in the community. He was like, wow, who does that? Douglasville Police Department. So that's part of what we do. Youth Against Violence, it's a program we've been doing for 10 years, handgun clinic, cops camp. So we're doing everything to bridge the gap between the police and the citizens. There's a big disconnect. Now I always say, every police agency, every time I go to a conference, police agencies throughout the country are doing something positive, and so are we. But it always takes somebody to, one officer make a bad decision and it tears down the whole law enforcement community. And so we trying to hire men and women with great values and great ethics and being accountable. That's part of what we do, make sure our men and women are accountable. So we got a career day coming up, not a career day, fall festival. Want everybody to come out to the fall festival. And so this is what we do, we serve. That's what we do, we serve and protect, that's me and the sheriff. I've been here for 30 years, never have you seen a picture where you have the sheriff, the DA, and the police chief walking in the parade as one. And that never happened. I've been here 30 years. Never happened. So, but we work together. I can go to the DA and say, look, this case here, or, let's work something out with this young person or whatever. And they listen. So we're a team keeping the community safe. We're a team working to make sure that Douglasville remains safe, so you can, walk. Your kids can play in the yard. They can play, ride the bicycles. And I'm gonna tell you now, we on these gangs. We're gonna get on these gangs, and we got some cases coming up. And I know everybody like, well, they're a rap group and this and that. That's all good. But when they step across that line and start committing crime, and they step in the realm of being identified as a gang. And so we're not gonna play with that. We're not gonna play with the drug dealers. We're not gonna play with any criminal activity, period, point blank. So, we're gonna be proactive. That's our motto. We're gonna be proactive on crime. In order for us to be proactive, you must engage. You must engage, because if you don't, you're part of the problem. So I think that You know, we got a community house over here off Hollis Street that we work with the NAACP with in that house. And other than that, that's what we do. We got the deputy chief back there and first female deputy chief in the city of Douglasville history, and Captain Weaver back there, and he's a patrol. He run our patrol division. So that's what we do.
Mr. Jennifer Cole.
Oh yeah, what Jimmy? Oh, he was in camouflage. You know that code thing, you know, everybody on this man, he does an outstanding job. He does an outstanding job.
Madam City Manager, you just stand and... Thank you so much, Deputy Chief. So we are progressive and we're being fair. We're reflecting the community and we're ahead of the statistics. Now we're going to have Mr. Gregg. You doing this, Mr. Gregg? Or are you City Manager? Who's doing beautification efforts?
Is it coming up next? Because I thought it was toward the end.
This is toward the end? This is Mr. Gregg Roberts. He is the Maintenance and Sanitation. Maintenance and Sanitation Director. He's been with the city for 25 years. Come on, Mr. Gregg. And he is going to talk to you about some of the beautification efforts. He is really maintenance and sanitation. Now, I get calls about a lot of stuff, but let me tell you, when the trash is left out, that's a call. People call about the receptacles. So he is, oh, you always have something going on, Mr. Gregg. So they talk about that all the time. And we try to stay on top of making sure that we keep the routes going and that we do keep our city clean. And so Mr. Roberts will talk to you about Keep Douglasville Beautiful, which is an arm of the Maintenance and Sanitation Department, our annual cleanup day, yard sale amnesty, and a myriad of other things. But we do know that that is an issue that people have. You want your city to look clean and to be safe. And so Mr. Roberts is going to talk to you about some beautification efforts, and then I'll come back up and do questions and answers with the city manager. Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
This first slide that comes up, and again, thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Gregg Roberts, and I have worked for the city for a number of years, and I consider it the same as the mayor and the chief and all of the elected officials and Ms. Hampton and all the other city staff. We serve the city. We work here at the pleasure of the residents, and so we like having engagement with you, the citizen, and vendors and business owners. We don't have a job if we don't make those components happy, and so it's all important. This first slide here, Ms. Hampton touched on it just a little bit ago, but this is a list of 59 streets that are on the splost list that's initially going to be done. And Ms. Hampton hit it loud and clear earlier. She and I have worked together a lot over the years, and because of some of the financial issues that the city dealt with there for a period of time, we just got behind on getting some streets resurfaced. We just didn't have the money. And but thank you to the citizens for the SPLOST that was passed last year, and we will be able to move forward with getting some much needed work. Overall, our streets are in good shape. We have a hired engineering firm, AECOM. They came in and did an assessment of every street that we have, and they supported what I had already said. We have good streets. But just for a note, a lot of you who drive on Douglas Boulevard, and that's where Arbor Place Mall and that area around Highway 5 from Bright Star Road to Chapel Hill Road, that road was last resurfaced more than 25 years ago. And that's indicative of how good of a road that is. That road was installed correctly, and it's got a lot of good road base and road surface to it, and it has stood the test of time, and so we'll talk about that one in just a minute. But this is a list of 49 streets that'll affect a lot of our residents that'll see this on television. The next slide here, we're going to work primarily on two major transportation projects, and one of them will be Douglas Boulevard, particularly in that area of the mall. It'll be a component of getting that street resurfaced, but a beautification aspect of it as well. And we've been talking with mall representatives on some things that they're looking to do, so we're hoping to be able to tie all of this in together over the next 18 to 24 months. This next list is a beautification aspect that we've talked about. Now, I cannot guarantee you exactly what we will do, but we're going to concentrate on getting some things done at our interstate interchange ramps. When folks come to visit us, we want people to shop in Douglasville. We want people to come and visit us, come and like us, come and buy a house, come and live with us. But we definitely want them coming here and spending their money. Because that pays off. I'm a city resident just like many of you, and so I supported the SPLOST, and those people coming here, they help us pay for everything we're talking about here tonight. So we want them coming, and we want to throw some flowers out there that makes them happy when they get here. And so how quickly we'll do every ramp, I can't tell you, but that is going to be a concentration that you're going to see over the next 12 to 24 months. Mayor Robinson mentioned this, I think, might have been what she might have been. You know what? Let me go back on the streets just in case some of the residents. There is a list of streets in that State Route 92 corridor that Ms. Hampton mentioned. There's a lot of streets over there: Colquitt Street, Malone Street, just to name those two. But there's about 10 or 15 streets that we're not able to address right now because we need to let the 92 project run its course and start wrapping up. We would not want to pave Colquitt Street, for example, and then the construction traffic potentially mess it up. And so we want to wait and do our work after they tie that in. So there's a lot of work to be done there. And so this other component, the Keep Douglasville Beautiful department is in the Maintenance and Sanitation department, and we're looking to make a few changes in the coming months with that department to give it a little more visibility. We're looking to, and I talked to Mr. Armistead here, for those of you, he's a HOA representative of one of the homeowner associations here in town, and we're hoping to have better communication with HOA, and that would benefit both the police and code enforcement, but it'll benefit the garbage man too. So if you have any questions, we could hopefully address those tonight in the order of how Ms. Hampton or Madam Mayor wants to do that. But I think I covered pretty much everything, and thank you for your time.
Roberts, I will do some closing remarks before we open up for questions and answers. And in the interim, I'll ask my council members if you all would like to say anything. Do you want to have any remarks? No? 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 Coach, it looks like you want to say something. Okay, you do not? Okay, he's being shy. But I just wanted to highlight just a few things that were said just to illuminate some things so that you'll have a better understanding, or not getting down in the weeds, but just to address some of those issues. The SPLOST, of course, is a special purpose local option sales tax, and that was passed by the city and the county citizens in November of 2016. And so how it's broken down is the county has 72% of the tax, and these are sales tax. So when people go at the mall and shop and eat and all of that. The county has 72.37%, which is $115.79 million. The city of Douglasville has 23.38% which is $37.4 million. Villa Rica, 4.22%, $6.75 million, and Austell is 0.3%, which is $48,000. So that is the breakdown. And the transportation, the portion for the city with the SPLOST, is transportation has 45%, parks is 15%, facilities is 15%, public safety is 25%. So that's how the SPLOST is broken down for the city and the county. We have a new Parks and Recreations Director, Mr. Travis Landrum. I want to recognize him. Please wave your hand, Mr. Travis. And he is an excellent Parks and Recreational Director. He has opened up here at the Hunter Park and Jesse Davis Park, and we appreciate everything that he's doing to make us grow as a park system. We just have a 10-year master plan for parks and recreation, so we will address all of the parks in the city's coffers, not just Jesse Davis Park and Hunter Park, but Willing Workers Park, the Mill Village, and Fowler Field. So we're looking at all of those parks, and they'll be comprehensive, so when you come to a park in the city of Douglasville, you know it's a park in the city, even Wortham Park with the Butterfly Garden. Citizens, volunteers, the council has been so gracious. When I have ideas, they allow me to talk to staff, and they get moving around, and under the city manager's office, we're able to, we have all of these boards, animal advisory boards, and zoning board, and library, pension board, but they allowed me to try to help with the Citizens Academy, and we're looking at doing a youth advisory board and a seniors board. I left the chair today. She and I had an hour and 45-minute meeting with some seniors that wanted to talk about senior facilities. I know a lot of those are in the county, but there's the one in the city is on Fairburn Road, and so we talked about that, and by the hospital, by the courthouse. So those are some of the things for the boards. To get into litter and cleanup, the amnesty is for yard sales, and then we have, you can put your trash out if you live in the city of Douglasville. That's been going on for about 12 years, that there's a weekend which you can put mattresses out and anything else you want to put out to the curb, and sometimes it'll be gone before you come back outside. Someone's going to drive through and pick it up. But I'm going to start a litter cleanup, and it starts this year. We're going to do the alleyway as the city manager has talked about. We do have some organizations, nonprofits that are adopting streets. The Omegas, Dr. Baker, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity has Fairburn Road, and they pick up once a month on Fairburn from the Wendy's restaurant all the way to I-20, and there's a sign when you get off of I-20 and Fairburn Road that says Omega Psi Phi Tri Mu Adopted Highway. So they have that. The Kappas, Kappa Alpha Psi has Highway 5. My sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, we have an application in for Highway 92. The Rotary Club has Presley Mill. And so we invite other nonprofits to come in and help us clean up the streets and just to keep up the litter program, something that was started for Keep America Beautiful, Keep Georgia, Keep Douglasville Beautiful. So we want to continue that. Some other initiatives that the council has allowed me to spearhead, and it's all of us making the community better, is when I became mayor, people wanted a job, and so they talked to me about jobs, and we started a jobs fair. Miss Chelsea Jackson in the city manager's office opened up the conference center, and we had state folks, people from state, federal, local businesses were there. Something that was birthed out of our Tuesday night town hall meeting was for businesses, that we would have a business expo, and so we're excited about that. On the portion for still with code enforcement, I was frustrated driving around and people would make complaints about the donation bins. And so the council supported me and we came out, we have an ordinance now that limits donation bins. Of course we need them. We want people to put books for children, shoes, clothes, and all of that, but you don't want to go to a business and see 3 or 4 bins out there and people piling things on. It just clutters up your community. So we've relegated to 1 bin per facility. The homeless issue, to talk again with the chief, talked about code enforcement. We're working on a comprehensive plan. The chief is spearheading and helping me to get the nonprofits to come together, and some other partners are Judge Bo McLean, who has a heart for and a compassion for the homeless community. We're working with Judge Bo McLean. Who else, Chief? The United Way, that's what Mr. Branson. United Way, churches, Pastor Ford with Crossroads Church. Who else, Chief? That's it, that's our group. Yes, and the chair of the county commission. So we are really looking at it. If we could solve that systemic problem, we'd be millionaires. But we are working to help place homeless people and to put them in facilities, and especially the chair and I are working on veterans, because she and I are both veterans, to try to get some of those services for homeless veterans. The Parks Plan, I said, was a 10-year plan. We're trying to really bring the downtown into vibrancy. We have a lot of film. I don't know if you knew that, but film is spilling over from Atlanta. Of course, we're third in the country for film. Georgia is, in the Atlanta area specifically. It's Hollywood, New York, and then Atlanta. So they're spilling over. We get some of the films. The Founder was made here, Stranger Things, All Eyes on Me, Tupac Shakur, lots of Walking Dead scenes down in the old jail. But we are looking in the downtown area to really build that area up so that when those film folks come, they want to come and stay and spend money. And we want to do infill development, make it a more hustle and bustle place to come. And so I think that's everything I kind of wanted to highlight out of the reports that were given. Please know, again, that I am here to serve the community and look forward. I'm not new here in the community. I've been serving for a long time. I understand all different parts. I've been to 22 schools last year, going and talking to students, trying to encourage them. Worked on the zoning board for the city, West Georgia Technical College, Wellstar Hospital, appointed to, I was gonna let you know what I do during I don't have a day job being the mayor. But I'm on the Atlanta Regional Commission, and with that, trying to bring more bike and pedestrian trails to the city. I know millennials want to walk, they want to get on a bike. There you go, instead of driving a car. Tomorrow, the chair and I are attending Connect Atlanta, which is going to be held at Georgia Tech, and it talks about autonomous cars and a lot of transportation, so we'll be in a conference there. So really just working to bring the community up. We don't want to get jumped past Douglasville when you come to the western part of the metropolitan Atlanta area and go to Carrollton, which is a great community, or Villa Rica, but we want you to stay in Douglasville. We want to build up here. So I will open the floor for questions and answers, and we will bring a microphone to you. Let me see if I have a runner. Coach, you have on some tennis shoes. Can you run for me? Can you be my runner with the microphone right there? Or you can, I don't want them to come up to the, oh, Steve has it. Thank you. And that one will be for the elected officials to answer questions. So, City Manager, you and I can share the mic? And questions and answers. You're over there at the Rosewood, aren't you? Yes, sir. Good to see you.
All right. It's good to be here. We're
Mr.
here
Armstrong.
representing the Rosewood community.
Yes, sir.
My name is Phil Armstead, and my concern is primarily the cleanliness of the city. Concerns, and I do know this a little bit about living in cities and people coming in, and Douglasville seems to be growing.
Yes, sir.
There are some major industries coming to Douglasville. Mm-hmm. And with that in mind, people that have money won't come if you don't keep it clean.
Yes, sir.
And I noticed just driving throughout our city, Rose Avenue and some of the places down 5 and Douglas Boulevard, a lot of the businesses there do not keep their grass cut. You have trash right next to Golden Corral, next to that little strip mall area right there, trash all in there, stuff growing up. Nobody is operating the business in there. And there's a guy with a truck with a big old trailer there, wooden trailer. And I always wonder, I say, does he own the property? But this big trailer sits there. And it's just an eyesore.
Yes, sir.
For the city, I think. And I think we can do a better job. I understand we only got one sweeper for the entire city. That's kind of strange that we don't have equipment to accommodate a lot of this. You know, the grass growing up through the sidewalks, and there are some areas that they have redone.
Yes, sir.
With the orange-looking brick or whatever it is, but you got grass growing up. And so you've done some things, but then on the other hand, it's not very attractive when you're driving through our city. And people come and they look and they say, oh my goodness, what are they doing here?
Yes, sir.
And so that's reflection also of the leadership of Douglasville. What is being done to maintain the city? And so I encourage you, you know, I've taken some pictures. I think I talked to a couple of officials about, I talked to Greg, and he owed me some work in Rosewood. But just in when you come out to the light there, coming out of Rosewood, right there at the street, you start getting where it need to be resurfaced there. The ramps coming off the freeways,
Yes,
the
sir.
same problem you got. It's trashy, grass growing and those sort of things, and you got potholes. You come out of the bank right there by SunTrust, potholes. And so it's a number of, and it's a lot of little things that could be taken care of. It seems like fairly easy. It's not a big thing, but it is things that adds up
Yes, sir.
that make the city unattractive. And
Yes, sir.
And then the street lights are not good, especially weekends, traveling down 5, Douglas Boulevard. They seem to be so impacted. I asked a question about, can they adjust the lights so you can have a steady flow? Because you're coming out of Walmart and Sam's, and then you're coming from the other direction, and it's just seemed to be a traffic jam there, primarily on the weekends. And
Yes, sir.
if they could only make some adjustments, and there are adjustments that you can make to make that flow a little easier, I think. And I think someone I was speaking, they said that the city is not responsible for the lights.
Yeah, synchronization for the, I'm getting
But-
ready to take notes, because you give, how many points you gotta let me.
But the thing is that, and like the high school,
You
the
can
grass
keep
don't
making them, I
get
just
cut
want
on
to
a
make sure I
regular
address
basis.
everything. Yes, sir.
I pay attention to a lot of detail. The grass don't stay cut on a regular basis at the high school, Douglas High. And when you drive through there, it's look like, man, we live in a third world country here, what? But they need, I don't know, the city is not responsible for that. I
Right, it's
understand.
private property, it's a school
But
system too.
this is one thing I do know. The city officials, the mayor, where's she at?
Senator
You all
Andrews.
have influence.
Yes, sir.
Use your influence.
Yes, sir.
You guys sit down at the table and talk to these other folks, whether it's the county or whoever.
Yes, sir.
You guys have dealings together.
Yes, sir.
Then same way as the police department, the
Chief Sparks.
Chief Spark, she talked about how the sheriff and the other ones got together. And that's need to be some of the things that can happen to make things happen because if you go down Chapel Hill, you don't see that. It looks pretty nice. But when you get to Douglasville in our high school, we need a new high
We on
school
Chapel
anyway.
Hill too. That's
I mean,
part of the city.
travel,
That's the city.
it's part of it's county though.
No, sir, it's city.
No?
Chapel Hill is city up until Central Church.
Okay, okay. Then,
So people have to take onus over their own communities too.
Well,
But I'm
that's-
gonna address I'm gonna address your issues best I can. Chief, can you come up to the chairs, you and Mr. Travis and Code?
did I get everybody? No.
I was gonna tell them too. So I'll talk first. Okay, and so, Mr. Armstead, I'll start with transportation. I said in the SPLOS that, no, but come to the front of the class so you can come to the microphones. 45% of the SPLOS dollars are going to transportation, and that list, collaboration is very important. I said today I was with the county commissioner for an hour and 45 minutes talking about senior issues. She and I meet frequently. We're going to Georgia Tech tomorrow. So I talked to her. I said to you in my some of the comments, I was at 22 schools last year. I meet with the superintendent regularly. So we do have collaboration. We understand that we're not on an island and that we share services and the constituencies. So we definitely work together. The lighting and banners, when Mr. Or the city manager talked about some of the projects. That is some of the projects that we're looking at. Mr. Roberts did mention about coming off of I-20, so all of those interchanges that they're going to be beautified. There was a list of streets, and I was going to try to tell you specifically the ones that are in your ward, but Rose Avenue is on that list. So we're definitely looking at that. We're looking at resurfacing. A good portion of that 45% of transportation is for resurfacing. City Manager, you want to address some of those issues. But I think that was kind of what I wanted to talk to you about with, or just respond in some of your concerns. I did have the list of streets. I'm going to try to find it while City Manager's talking.
I would just say, one, if you can list all of your specific issues, in order for us to be able to better address them. A couple things that you mentioned, I'm fairly certain those are private property issues and concerns. I do think in the Metro Atlanta region that people drive around because we are a region, and they see communities in certain places like Gwinnett and Town Center and Cumberland, and they see areas that have been beautified, and they make the assumption that the local government have done those beautifications, even along Camp Creek Parkway. That's not the local government who's done that. In most cases, those are private businesses. Those are community improvement districts where the businesses themselves have chosen to tax themselves and actually beautify those areas. Many of those CIDs have budgets that are twice, 3 times the size of the city of Douglasville. Just a street sweeper alone, you asked the question, why do we only have one? Because they cost $250,000. So when I showed you the millage rate and the tax digest chart, when I was showing you exactly how much funds we had, we really were not in a position to spend $250,000 on a street sweeper. So that's really the reason we have one.
Is there other ways of getting that equipment other than outright buying it?
There are leasing options. However, you have to have a dedicated funding source to continue to pay that lease. And in order, in a street sweeper, typically we purchase that out of sanitation funds. Well, when the maintenance funds shriveled, we started paying more things out of sanitation funds. So again, it goes back to the same analysis of if you have cable and you have basic cable and you jump up to HBO, you have to figure out a way to pay for that if all things remain same, if your budget is always the same. So especially on the code enforcement issues, I would ask you to send us a list, because a lot of those are private property issues.
Well,
and
the
not
private,
ours.
like for instance, if you drive down 5 and the businesses there, and the code enforcement plays a part in that as well. And if they're not being held responsible, they are part of the problem in not keeping the city where it could be.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I'm saying is there are some buildings down there that is up for sale, whose grass has just grown, and no one, it just sits there. And so if you never contact them
We have. That's what I was
and
going to
made
say.
an
There's a
impression
process.
that we need to get this taken care of.
Yes, sir. It's a process. We can't harass them. And there's a window where you call first and you write a citation.
Sure.
And they go to court. It takes time. So even with grass growing, if the person isn't in the area, they're in Florida, they own the business, but they live in Florida, we contact them. It's going to take some time for them to get to the business or to, assign someone to get the grass cut.
Sure.
But it does take time. They have to go through court as a whole. It's not like you call today and make a complaint and tomorrow the grass is cut.
Well,
So-
what we normally do, Ms.
Or you
Mayor,
can
is
go-
that we'll cut the grass for you and bill you.
But you're an HOA.
Yeah,
I'm
we
just
can't do
saying.
that as a city.
I don't know what your ordinances are in regards to that, but I think that it could be handled a lot better. Yeah, it takes a little work. That's why we voted you guys in, man.
Yes, sir.
And
We're on it.
we
So
want you
for the
guys to do
resurfacing, Rose Avenue is on the list for resurfacing, Spring Street, West Strickland,
and I'll
East
get that
Cortland,
list
West
for you.
Cortland.
Yes, please.
Yes.
You can join the Citizens Academy, so it will explain exactly the process. So
Okay.
you'll go to the courts division, you'll go to streets, you'll see how long it takes to pave streets. I mean, we are very different from an HOA.
And also, I shared with Greg about there is things that you can get from the government, from the Department of Defense. For many years, I retired from the Department of Defense, and schools and any government agency can get property that is needful to be able to help sustain city or whatever it is, high schools, computers, and all of this stuff is available, but if no one ever go out and research it, they'll never know what is available out there.
Yes, sir.
You shaking your head.
Thank you.
You should join the Citizens Academy.
Yeah, they're 10-week, and you'll be able to see all the entities and how the city of Douglasville works. Do you want to address anything, Chief? No. Okay. Okay.
The city manager did, we know it's some job in trying to clear some of these things up. These guys went way to South Georgia's issue about 30 tickets to people who own property here that don't even live here. You know, so, you know, it's a difference between government and you being in an HOA. We just don't go out and start cutting everybody's grass and, you know.
Yeah, and the police.
That's their property. Now, we can write tickets. You know, we just ask you to bear with us and you come and go complain with us sometime, you know. But the bottom line of it is we out here doing the best we can with what we got. We want to make our city more attractive, and that's what we're working on. So maybe you need to get on the Keep Douglasville Beautiful team.
Yeah, the Keep Douglasville Beautiful board would be great opportunity for you to
come
give
to
back.
Court and see some of the tickets we write.
Yes, sir. And the chief is serious. I mean, I had a complaint from a property owner, and he went with me. And the gentleman was getting a little heated, so the chief stepped in. But we talked to him about the process. He felt like we didn't give him an opportunity to clean up his business. And he had a citation. He had to go to court. And we, you know, explained the process to him. So it's impatience on the citizen's part, but for the business owner, you know, he has a right too. So there is a process. We just, like I said, we don't write the ticket today and arrest somebody tomorrow. We give them an opportunity to come into compliance. Any other questions, Mr. Nation?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be brief, but relative to the Highway 92 project, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
I know you mentioned the lighting and banner project. Is that separate from the Highway 92 project for it's on the north side of town? And also, we have talked about in previous meetings about some sound barriers for the on the Highway 92 projects for the residents in that area, and also for the people that uses Jesse Davis Park there. Just want to know if those sound barriers are still proposal for that Highway 92 project there.
Yes, sir. And what Mr. Nation is speaking of, now we had a specific town hall for the folks on the north side this past Tuesday where we said a lot of areas that were germane to that area, but I will definitely address, there's a $111 million project, this federal highway project that's coming through the city of Douglasville, connectivity from the folks coming from Paulding to get to I-20, and it merges right through the city, and of course the underground for the train that the city manager talked about will help accessibility for people who live on the northern part of the city and the county to get across the train to get to facilities, hospital, to pay your water bill, all of that. So yes, sir, it's part of the federal plan for barriers. Now, Jesse Davis Park, and we can go into more detail about that, but Jesse Davis Park, the 10-year master plan that we talked about is going to give specifics for the plan, but of course we can't do anything until the highway is completed, and that's slated to be completed in 2019, correct, Mr. Roberts? Yes, 2020? 2019, 2020. So, because it wouldn't be fruitful for us to pave those streets and do some renovations and have to tear it back up. So we need to make sure that the highway is completed first. But in the interim, we have a 10-year plan to address all of the parks, which is inclusive of Jesse Davis Park. Now, about the barriers, I'm not certain. City Manager, can you address that?
Yeah, the road is under construction, so any element of the road has already been designed. Noise barriers were included through the Federal Highway Administration environmental process, so that those are in. If you come to City Hall, Michelle Wright, who's listed there, or if you email her, I'll give you her contact information. She'll send you a copy of the plan, and it'll show you exactly where the noise barriers are listed. Lighting, banners, and a walking trail are all included as a part of the project.
Yes, sir. So all the gateways, that's part of beautification. The highways coming off of I-20 and the gateways into the city. So they'll be addressed in the beautification portion of transportation under the SPLOST. Yes, sir. You're welcome. Any other questions? Wow, that's it? Oh, there, is that Madam Chair? Please come up, Madam Chair. This is the chair, the chairperson, chairwoman for Douglas County, Dr. Ramona Jackson Jones. I was just telling them you and I were sitting in a meeting about seniors, about an hour and 45 minutes or so. Thank you so much for your time. Let's give her a hand as she comes. We want to thank you. Please come and talk to us about anything you want to talk about. And yes, ma'am, we're happy to have you. You know the city is in the county.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. So.
Thank you so much, Mayor Robinson, and also to the citizens. Thank you. I wanted to just drop in because I wanted to make it very clear that the city and the county are working very closely on a lot of initiatives, and we have joined forces and we are aligned, and we are planning to move Douglasville and Douglas County forward. We have quite a bit from the county level. From that perspective, we have a few things going on. Of course, you know that Switch is coming to Douglas County, which is a $2.5 billion investment. It's the largest investment in Douglas County's history and also in Georgia's history. So Switch is a database center. Their main location is in Las Vegas. We're really excited about that, and we're breaking ground already for that. They will hire about 60 to 100 jobs, but they are very high-paying jobs. But initially, to get this 1 million square feet building up operation, it's going to take manpower here from Douglas County. So we believe in hiring locally. We have a transit system that we're looking at, which is an intermodal system. We're working closely with the city to make sure that we don't encroach upon any territory that they've specified that it's not good to go on certain streets, and we're working very closely to do that. We are waiting on a CMAQ grant. We believe I've received notification from ARC, and the federal government will provide a grant for the county for sustainability purposes to allow us to move forward for a period of 3 years. So that'll be grant-funded money. We have buses that are here. We've ordered 4 buses. There are 15 passenger buses. We decided to go small initially because we didn't want to go too large. I wanted the big 50 passengers, but they said, no, let's go small, just to make sure that the program is effective and works well. And then we'll move and grow just see what the ridership looks like. We don't want to go too fast, and we're looking ridership from the north side, portions of through downtown, but not the Campbellton Road Street, which we've received notification not to go that way, and we promise that we will not. And then also on the Thornton Road area, we have businesses along there that we have a lot of people traveling back and forth that need to work, and we are looking at some connectivity points with Cobb as well to make sure that we have some connector feeders. We call them feeder points for travel. What else good? The tax commissioner, Mr. Greg Baker, has garnered about $7 to $8 million so far in delinquent taxes. We had some delinquent taxes laying out there that we needed to address. He's working along, I should say, the chief tax administrator is Michael Barnhill, and they are doing a fantastic job garnering those delinquent taxes. This Douglas County, we rolled back the taxes this year because of our new growth. We had last year, 2016, I believe it was 0.9% new growth. We didn't roll back taxes then, and with this year, with a 5% new growth, we knew that it wouldn't be the right thing to do from the county perspective. So we're rolling back about $3 million to the citizens, Douglas County. We just want to, but you know, when we break it down, it's about $22, so don't want you to get excited. But it is something that we roll back. The new growth will be significant and help us along with some of our projects at the county. I'm trying to think what else we're doing from economic development. We have a company coming to Villa Rica called Project Buck. We have not made an announcement there. Pretty high-paying jobs again. All these jobs are about $30 per hour ranges. Again, Project Buck will hire about 100 employees on that end, and we are bringing some food places here. We're trying to not compete with the city. We get excited. We heard Panera Bread. We said, well, let's get Jason's Deli. And they said Burlington Coat Factory. We said, let's get somebody else. So we're going back and forth. And it's fun because what we're doing is guess what? Along the 20, we have 8 new hotels coming up along Thornton Road. We have a hotel that's geared to millennials or for millennials, allows you to take your pets. So we have, it's District 2, Vice Chairman Commissioner Robinson's district. So we have 8 brand-new hotels coming up. So when you have an opportunity to ride along that area. So it's about that Thornton Road, Riverside corridor area. Also, we tried to mimic the city. We had food truck Fridays because they have food truck Mondays. You can see, it's not a war, we're having fun, right? And that's been pretty successful, and that was along that Riverside corridor because a lot of the employers there said we need to be able to feed our employees. So we wanted to provide that service, and it worked out well. We only had about 3 Fridays this year, but next year we'll go forward with other things. And the External Affairs Department, Tiffany Stewart-Stanley, is rolling out, and she's the External Affairs Director for Douglas County, and she's rolling out a public engagement series for the month of October. We will have Behavioral Health, Mental Health Month, so we'll be celebrating all month in terms of just stop the stigma of mental health in this county. And we have quite a lethargic schedule. It's on the website, or we have a Facebook page, and ask you to look and go out and look. We have one night a panel we'll be discussing. We have doctors and nurses talking about mental health in our county. So I encourage you to do that. This coming Saturday, September Saturdays, I have a walk in the talk session. I'll be out there talking about things that are going on in Douglas County and what we're doing to move things forward. And we have 2 weekends dedicated to September Saturdays, the 23rd and the 30th of this month, so we encourage you to come out for that. And it's just a great time in Douglas County, the roads, and we appreciate you and thank you for SPLOST. That's very important because we're able now to pave roads. We have a nice significant amount for roads that's being paved all throughout the county, so we're really excited. So I know it's going to be a little troublesome right now because all the barriers are up and people are saying what is going on, but we're trying to improve some of these roads that have not been repaired about 30 to 35 years, so they're well worn and overdue. We have an E911 radio system that we have, the RFQ has already been approved. We're working with our vendor to get everything taken care of. We're copying it again. The city has already had an E911 radio system. We need one so we can communicate with Cobb and Carroll and DeKalb and Fulton in the event of a catastrophic disaster. We didn't have an opportunity. We, right now, just kind of crippled, and we can do that. We should be up and running in middle 2018 is the time that we feel like we should be up and running with that E911 radio system. Parks and Recreation, we have an opportunity for a lot of parks to be renovated. We have a new senior center that's going in the Lithia Springs area. We have a new community center that'll be going at the Boundary Waters area, the aquatic center. So if you want to get out and go to, we have a lot of football fields at the Boundary Waters area, baseball fields. It's pretty state-of-the-art. Walking trail we have there, so if you want to go out, get out and walk. And of course, you know, the Sweetwater Master Plan was approved this year, so we're looking at enhancing and revitalizing that area, the Sweetwater area. So that was approved. That was a 10-year project that's been on the books, and we've finally been able to get that achieved. So a lot of things that's been on the books that we're just kind of cleaning up, that's been hanging around here a long time, that Douglas County is moving forward. We are just looking at many projects, and Chris Pumphrey, who's our executive director of Development Authority, is working very hard with companies all over the United States, not just locally and not just stateside, to entice them to come to Douglas County and Douglasville. He serves at the pleasure of myself and the mayor. So we heard the city and the county very clear that economic development is very important. And with that being said, that's about what's going on in the county. We're doing great things, and I appreciate everything that the citizens and all the support that y'all are giving us, both the mayor and I. And we are working together, and we are a dream team together, so we appreciate what y'all do. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let's give her a hand. Thank you so much. You can tell us in her heart she doesn't have any notes, just coming and talking. And we do have a new hotel coming, Mr. Armstead. It's on Thornton Road. It's called a True Hotel. It's really slated for millennials, and it's part of the Hilton property. So that's a new hotel. Yes, sir. Help us, come on. But yes, sir, so We're excited about that. Again, the chair and I work together on several boards and committees: Development Authority Board, Community Health and Services, Atlanta Regional Commission. She and I share seats on the Transportation Air Quality Board for ARC, and she works, of course, in seniors and in aging. She's been in health for 31 years, so she has all of that experience that she brings to the table. Okay, council members, you don't have anything to say, anything from staff? I'd like for our city manager to come, and after she comes, then we're going to close out. And if you all have any other questions, I'll be around, and I can show you specifics about your area with the SPLOS and any other improvements that we have going on. Thank you so much again, Madam Chair, to my council members who are still here, staff, thank you for your time. And I appreciate everyone coming out tonight, the citizens especially. You've taken time out of your lives and your families to sacrifice and come and spend time with us for the past couple of hours, and we appreciate it. We don't take it lightly, but know that we'll have these town hall meetings because we want to come to you. If you can't come to the council meetings or look at us on Facebook or any of the social media outlets, please know that town halls will be continually being done, and you're welcome to come at any time. Thank you, PD. As well. Thanks, my chief. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Adams, city manager.
Only comment I have is on behalf of staff. We just appreciate the opportunity to be able to present the information. We work at the pleasure of mayor and council who are elected by the citizens. So we are here to enforce those policies that are set by the policymakers. So we have about 250 full-time employees, about 50 part-time employees that work on your behalf, so we appreciate that opportunity to do so. And I just invite any citizen that has any concern, request, Mr. Armstead, come on, be a part of the citizen committee to help put forth those initiatives that you see, and really come and learn about the city, because I think sometimes there's a misconception about what services the city can provide and what we can do, but we do welcome your support, we welcome your comments, and we would definitely love to be able to serve you on behalf of the mayor and council. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, I'm Rochelle Robinson, Mayor of the City of Douglasville. I'm here to serve you, and I have an open door policy. Come in, if you can catch me, I'm always running, doing something, but I love to have an opportunity to talk to the citizens and business owners and anyone who wants to make Douglasville better. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a good evening. Thanks for coming.